I'm Max Pringle with these headlines. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Tel Aviv today, meeting with Israeli officials and pledging full U.S. support for the country in its war against Hamas. It's the first leg of a diplomatic tour in the Middle East to show support for Israel. Blinken appeared alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a press conference where he told reporters U.S. support is unwavering.
The message that I bring to Israel is this. You may be strong enough on your own to defend yourself, but as long as America exists, you will never ever have to. We will always be there by your side.
Blinken's arrival also comes as a humanitarian crisis is beginning to unfold in Gaza, and the diplomatic push is taking place as concerns grow that chaos could spread to the occupied West Bank and different countries across the Middle East. Blinken will also try to secure the freedom of hostages kidnapped by Hamas from last weekend's incursion into Israel. There are an estimated 150 people being held hostage by Hamas, including an unknown number of Americans. Later today, Blinken will travel to Jordan to meet with King Abdullah. Blinken will then meet Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Amman on Friday. There, Blinken will urge Abbas to condemn the violence. Meanwhile, Israel continued its barrage of Gaza. As officials said, the country was preparing for a possible ground invasion to root out Hamas militants and the group's leadership once and for all. International aid groups have warned that the death toll in Gaza could mount after Israel closed the coastal enclave off from electricity and food and aid shipments. More from FSN's Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv.
Israel is continuing its intensive bombing campaign. It says it wants to target these Hamas infrastructure areas. It wants to hit places that are weapons storage facilities and also wants to target this huge labyrinth of underground terror tunnels that Hamas uses to smuggle fighters and weapons. Now, we also do know that Israel is trying to take out some of the heads of Hamas in these aerial bombing campaigns. Now, the situation there is certainly really deteriorating. We do know that overnight and up until now, there were dozens more casualties in this densely populated Palestinian enclave.
That's Sarah Coates. House Republicans haven't voted for Majority Leader Steve Scalise yet to take the Speaker position. The Republican House Conference nominated Scalise for the position, but far-right members have denied Scalise the support he needs to gain the votes for a majority. Sagar Magani has that story.
House Republicans have nominated a new speaker, but whether he'll quickly take on the job remains uncertain. In private balloting, the deeply divided House GOP chose Majority Leader Steve Scalise in a narrow vote over Jim Jordan.
We have a lot of work to do.
When that would start is uncertain. The House remains at a standstill.
The House will come to order.
2.5 minutes later,
the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
A whole House floor vote on Scalise is expected, but it's unclear whether backers of Jordan, whom Donald Trump endorsed, will support Scalise. The White House's message, just get on with it.
We want to see the chaos be done with so that we can deliver on for the American people.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
U.S. inflation numbers in September showed that the pace of price increases is still trending lower, though at a slow and uneven pace. Consumer prices in the United States increased 0.4% from August to September. That's below the previous month's 0.6% pace. Year-over-year inflation in September was unchanged from a 3.7% raise in August, and underlying inflation declined a bit last month. So-called core prices, which exclude volatile food and energy costs, climbed 4.1% in September from 12 months earlier. That's down from a 4.3% annual pace in August. That is the smallest such increase in the core measure in 2 years. Strike talks have broken off between SAG-AFTRA actors and Hollywood studios. The Alliance of Studios and Streaming Services that negotiates with actors says the two sides are so far apart in their contract talks that there's no point in continuing. The actors' union slammed what they called bullying tactics from their opponents. Negotiations resumed last week for the first time since the actors went on strike in July. The studios say the deal they offered was a generous one that ended the writers' strike last month. Actors called that misinformation, saying the offer was nowhere near as generous as described. I'm Max Pringle. Those are some of the headlines.